Adam Schefter yesterday apologized for his initial reporting on the Dalvin Cook incident. Adam Schefter with a tweet. Go ahead, Jess.
Did he apologize? Did he say the word sorry or apologize?
He said
Was it an Aaron
he
Rodgers?
said
It was an Aaron Rodgers apology.
He said I need to do better. I didn't do that, and I should have done that. And he buried his own lead in a tweet. It was a long video,
please,
and it was tucked in at the end.
I'd prefer if you could, like as we always do with these things, like Stugotz will catch up. I'd prefer.
I'm just trying to inform him.
Go ahead and start.
No, but fresh thoughts on these are better if you guys haven't discussed it.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, and I want to make sure that he knows.
Okay.
Yeah, because it involves domestic violence. And Adam Schefter specifically sent out a tweet that framed Dalvin Cook as the victim. It was obviously shaped. Yeah, Dalvin Cook is a victim of domestic abuse. Yeah, it was shaped by the agent.
Okay.
And Adam Schefter has since admitted that
it was shaped
wrong
by the agent.
It was wrong to only get one side of it.
Okay.
And since then, there have been damning screenshots of text messages and injuries sustained and things that would suggest that if Dalvin Cook is a victim, he might not be the only victim, most certainly. So.
Yep.
Are you ready?
We're rolling. Audio, video, good to go.
Many of you are with us and know what the last year during a pandemic has been like, sort of trying to build this spaceship at Meadowlark Media. I don't have any business acumen, trying to build the plane while it's in the sky. And one of the things that you saw at the end at ESPN was me jumping from a sinking, and us jumping from a sinking journalistic ship. And what you've seen happen with Adam Schefter, his latest two controversies, including the one from last night, are problematic. And Adam Schefter, Stugotz, is and has been a very good journalist. Thorough, careful, ambitious, hard-charging, works crazy obsessively hard. And the creature that is an information creature in these worlds, these are different personalities, Stugotz, all of them. Like, they're the guys who can be that good at the job of collecting all the insider information. I've told you guys before, all of these markets have local reporters dedicated to covering those teams. And when Woj and Schefter and all these guys show up, they get all the stories. Very few stories break locally, with armies all over the country profiting at the teat of the NFL information currency, which is so valuable. We've got more NFL insiders than we've got NFL insides, right? Like, it's just a profit center.
Mm-hmm.
And you see now somehow some of how the sausage is made on how these insiders get some of their information in a way that's going to make people uncomfortable, Stugotz. So
and how they form their relationships. Yeah.
Well, but so here's the backstory, because this is ugly, and it's uglier than the last time we were talking about Adam Schefter. And it was after the Gruden scandal, and there were email chains, and in it, it seemed like Adam Schefter was almost working for Bruce Allen, who's at the center of all the crud at the top of the food chain in the NFL, whether you know it or not. But Gruden and Washington football team, it all centers on Bruce Allen, was calling him Mr. Editor while sending him something to proofread that was going to shape, from labor's perspective, how a story he was going to write was going to go out. So Adam Schefter is acting as a partner with the league there. You know, even in the best appraisals of it, he's acting as a propagandist on behalf of ownership. That scandal came and went. He apologized. Now, the latest one. In some ways, this is worse. That one will get a lot of attention. This one's complicated, because journalistically, Adam Schefter was, it would appear, used by an agent last night before a lawsuit was about to be dropped. And this is covering domestic abuse and battery and victim shaming and a whole bunch of other stuff that we've been talking about recently, you got an uncomfortable look at how the machine works sometimes. Adam Schefter reported before the rest of us got wind of more information, and the lawsuit that Adam Schefter was used as a propagandist arm of an agent, it would appear, to get Dalvin Cook's side out there faster. And it looked like Adam Schefter was used. And Adam Schefter hasn't quite apologized, right, Jessica? It's not I'm sorry. It's that it's the speed with which I got to this story. I've got to be more careful about my reporting and show better, more sides.
His job, in part, is to get things out as quickly as possible, but to not get the other side of the story, which is also a huge part of his responsibility.
But here's the thing, though. In this case,
that rubs people the wrong way.
But in this case, yes, there's that, Stugotz. But in this case, I don't think this was about fast, or that's not how it felt. That's not how it's being received. There was not a need to get this information out that quickly for anyone other than the agent and Dalvin Cook.
I'm glad you said that. I was going to say certain stories don't require being the first one to get them out there.
And this wouldn't classify. Yes. This is not a story that he and Jay Glazer are super eager to report. No, it would appear. Look, Schefter will have to explain himself. There will be questions about this, journalistic questions, but I would tell you to examine in the macro, as our entire career there shows, ESPN slowly is getting out of the journalism business. It was always something that looked so credible, but at the core of the conflict was business partners with the league. Business partners with the league. Our CEO at Meadowlark, John Skipper, looked around on concussion reporting because of the partnership. And NPR was doing, and ESPN embarrassed itself having to bail out of that because at the end, the conflict was John Skipper's and he had to choose business. Had to make the choice and chose. He was the last stop on we care about journalism. Like the way that pipe, and he did and he does care about journalism. But in that one moment, when he's got to decide between, are we going to continue reporting with NPR about this league health crisis on concussions? The choice was made, no, we've got to back away now. We are league partners. And it was an embarrassment to ESPN. But they chose business because it got to the top of the conflict. ESPN doesn't have to keep pretending it's that. The sports fan doesn't even, I'm not sure the sports fan wants ESPN to be super credible journalistic entity, but ESPN decided trafficking off newspapers to become a journalistic entity in the 80s and 90s when Stuart Scott and Dan Patrick were winking at you. They decided under that umbrella to create Page 2 where there were writers and ESPN.com and ESPN the magazine, and they became more and more of a journalistic enterprise run by sports editors from newspapers. That's not who runs that place anymore. Those people are gone. Like all of them. That place is not run. They've got journalists, and I'm not saying that, and I'm telling you,
Schefter's one of them.
Schefter has been a great journalist his entire career. And I don't know how that coal furnace burns like that, because I don't know how you can live like that for 30 years, because it's such a grind. But it helps when you're in bed with the agents. It helps that if you have contacts to the agents, they can shape all your stories. These agents, these middle managers have been running parts of this game, the information game. It's become clear, the information game for a long time. There is great value in knowing these people, and we know now more than ever that information is power and currency these days, Stugotz, not just in sports, everywhere.
But with a guy like Adam Schefter, Dan, he has set the bar, I think, pretty high for it. Like, the reason I'm disappointed, he has set that bar high, and you would think Adam Schefter, at the very least, would get a story from an agent, and the agent's helping him frame the story, and it would at least stop and say to himself, you know what? This is a serious matter. I can't report it this way. I have to go get the other side of the story. I have to. There's no way I can do it this way. You would think he would be smart enough to do that.
Okay, and that is the second guest that he's getting buried by today, and that his his bosses will have to account for, because it looks to all like whether it's so or not, what it ends up looking with Adam Schefter as the propaganda arm of the company on behalf of NFL information, that you can shake the Disney tree.
Right.
You could shake the Disney tree, and at the end of it, a woman gets trampled, because then the sports cavemen and zealots who are going to defend Dalvin Cook and Minnesota are going to make it harder for her to speak honestly about this. And who knows what the hell happened there? She's police sergeant there, and the pictures are awful. And it looks like the marketing arm for Dalvin Cook got out in front of the victim there. And there you become complicit at the crossroads of where the conflicts on this stuff are. But it doesn't appear to me the sports fan has cared very much about whether ESPN is going to drop it down a little bit on journalism, because these things in old school journalism standards, these are dangerous, like fireable things we're talking about. In the place where journalists can get sanctimonious about where the integrity of the standard is supposed to be.
I think in general, the sports fan cares about the games. They don't care about this stuff the way we care.
But this is what it looks
stuff.
like. So these extractions are messy, is my point. These extractions are messy. And so as they slowly get out of the journalism business here and there, this is one of the transactions that ends up getting made, where I'm not even sure Adam Schefter is going to have to apologize, more than just saying, I have to be more careful next time.
And I would say that, like, what he said on SportsCenter yesterday, saying that he got it wrong, was far too late, and the damage had already been done, because that video on SportsCenter, I'm sure a lot of people saw it on TV. I don't know how many, but the tweet that he posted got like 2,000 likes. The initial tweet where he said the bit about Dalvin Cook being a victim, that was from Dalvin Cook's agent, had 27,000 likes as of a few minutes ago. That has been spread far and wide. So the waters have already been muddied in terms of him getting Dalvin Cook's side out before news of this lawsuit became public through the Star Tribune. It's too little too late. It doesn't matter. Like, once you've put that out there, people have already spread it. And now you can go back and retract it and say you should have done better, but you didn't. And so now it's too late.
Okay, but does the audience care? I ask you this sincerely, because I have not gathered, given, and if you heard the South Beach session that we released with Sarah Ganem, one of the points that she made, the Pulitzer Prize winner at the height of the Penn State scandal, is that the people listening to this who hate the media or hate her or hate people who do media, she was saying, you don't hate me, you hate the idea of me. And I have gathered, Stugotz, over the last 10 years, watching what's happening in this country and politics, and as you've heard me say before, to see a president with that lack of subtlety take out the media because of the disdain that there is for the media in this country. That media company, ESPN, is trying to get out of the journalism business very, very slowly and sort of painfully. And I have not gathered that the sports fan cares. I've gathered that their focus groups would say, yes, you can leave. Yes, you can leave. We don't need you here. Can we get back to sports? I don't want to talk about all this Black Lives Matter stuff here. I don't want to talk about where the protests are. I want to just enjoy my games. And it's just, is that not what's happening? Because it seems clear to me that's what happened to us.
It's games and transactions. That's what I believe sports fans care about most. And Adam Schefter is a big part of the transaction equation. He is. Guys like him and Woj and reporters. So I think fans do care about that still to an extent.
But
for the most part, they want to get
information. Information, not moralizing, not sermonizing, not telling me about the uncomfortable things, not bringing over here that the U.S. gymnastics team that was, at the height of a terrible, terrible scandal, that team would be broken in front of you, sort of telling you the damages of sexual abuse, and that they would give in their own voice. And then the culture fell on me. Then U.S. gymnastics became more important than me. It's how the pedophile is enabled, Stugotz. Like it's the system then crashes down on the victim. And that happened yesterday. And it happened yesterday with Schefter, ESPN, and Disney's permission, right? Through the arm of an agent who got the story. They let that happen. And that's the damage. And that's where you have to be super, super careful at the height of where these things get vetted, usually by lawyers and a whole bunch of other people, before it goes just straight from agent to PR arm to news to it lands on the victim's lap. And now her story gets muddied. And now it's going to be very hard to find out what the truth is here on Dalvin Cook, harder than it would have been without that reporting.
I don't know how you can possibly quantify what people do or don't care about. I would argue that some fans would care about this, some maybe don't. But regardless, I don't know if he would have made I don't know if you call it an apology. I don't know if he would have made that statement on SportsCenter yesterday had it not been, the message had not been received to him like, you made a big mistake journalistically or just ethically or as a human being. Like, you screwed up. I don't know if that would have happened if no one cared. But, I mean, he wasn't moralizing or editorializing in that tweet. He was stating something that is newsworthy, because if you're a sports fan and the running back on your team gets suspended or whatever, that's something you want to know. It's just the way that
they want to know the running back got suspended, Jess. I'm not rejecting what it is you're saying. I'm certain there are some people that care. But most fans are busy with their own lives, their own families. We care because we're in the business. They care that Dalvin Cook's not playing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you quantify that, though. I mean, I think some people do really care. I have no idea.
I quantify by the dopey fans that I hang out with, and they care about the trend. They don't have enough time to care about this, to dig through it.
Well, they might have just not read the story at all. But you're saying there's people that hear about the story and say, I don't care about that? I mean, I think everybody kind of just says that's serious. Those are serious things he's being accused of.
What's happening inside of ESPN and journalism is a thing that I don't think many, many fans care about. I just don't. And how they handle it and how they handle certain situations, I don't, personally. I could be wrong.
Okay, well, no, we just did 15 minutes on it, so maybe you're right. Maybe put it on the poll. The last 15 minutes. The last 15 minutes of journalistic.
I'm not saying it's not interesting, Dan, but you asked me a question. I answered it.
But Stugotz, I'm telling you that sports fans at every turn are being made uncomfortable by this stuff being near the playpen. Like, they're made uncomfortable. They're made uncomfortable by the idea of, why do I have to have this with my Dalvin Cook? Why does he have to be human? Why can't he just be fantasy points for me? And let's make it this cold transaction that isn't about human beings or victims or anything else. I don't know. Am I creating a straw man there? Because I think that there's many a sports fan that just sort of says, I don't want any of this conversation around my huddle.
But then you're a Phoenix Suns fan, and ESPN drops a bomb on Robert Sarver, and all of a sudden you care. When things arrive at your sport and journalists are digging up information that has a material impact on the way that you consume the game, whether it is an owner or whether it's Dalvin Cook, all of a sudden you care, right? People don't realize the things that they want or need until it arrives at their doorstep. And I do think that ESPN, doing the kind of work that Baxter Holmes did a tremendous job reporting that story. I think Suns fans care. I think NBA fans care. I think human beings care.
And I guess the most important thing is that Adam Schefter should care about this. Like, he's putting his name on this, where he's already under a microscope because of this Mr. Editor email thing with Bruce Allen. And then he does it not even a month later. Like, he should know better. He didn't, and there's a victim here. Whether you believe the allegations or not, it doesn't matter. There's serious things being claimed. That person is now, her story is overshadowed by what an agent put out. Where, Dalvin Cook's agent could have just posted a statement from his own Twitter account, but he gave it to one of the most powerful NFL insiders on social media, and millions of more people see it.